we've been through a lot today. We've heard a lot of great speakers, a lot of great information, but my intention is to go full circle with joy. And I think joy plays a huge part in creating business, in creating, becoming an entrepreneur. It makes a big difference in everything. So I'm going to ask you two questions, and I want you to kind of think about those and kind of take this with you as you kind of go into your everyday life. So what makes your heart come alive? You know, what is that thing that drives you every day and makes you happy? Or like, even if you're having a rough day, like what is that thing that can turn your day around, that you're most passionate about? That's kind of a second question. What are you passionate about? So, you know, if it's photography or juice or, you know, design, anything that really, you know, drives your passion. Think about those questions because I think that's at the heart of everything that we do as entrepreneurs. We really have our heart into it. So if we're not passionate about it, we're probably not going to be as successful as we would like to be. That's what I've found. So what is spiritual entrepreneurs? A spiritual entrepreneur takes everything we know about commerce and commercialism and consumerism and turns it on its head. Basically, it's leading with purpose, leading with intention. If I am very clear and specific about what I want from my business, and it's serving a purpose versus just to make money, you know, I think that is kind of where that's kind of drives the spiritual entrepreneur. That kind of like clear intention is where we go. So how many people have actually been in a store or an office and you just felt like, I'm just a number, I'm just a customer, I'm just a transaction? How many people have felt that way? It sucks, right? It sucks to know that, you know, you're just there and that probably the people working there hate their job as much as I hate being there as their customer. But, you know, maybe I'm too lazy to go find somewhere else to go. But that experience can drive, or has driven me to even create my own business. And kind of lead with serving as my purpose and my intention. So helping people achieve their health goals, achieve wellness goals, you know, that really kind of drives my passion. In addition to making juice, I love the whole process of making juice. It's really exciting to create new recipes, try them out, sample it, all that good stuff. And I love really seeing how a person's face when they try my juice and they're like, dang, it's good, you know? Like seeing that instant kind of satisfaction from knowing that, you know, not only are they putting natural good things into their body, but they're also enjoying the experience. So the power of purpose, I'm kind of talking about that, and I may not get through all of this, but we'll see. So the power of purpose, so being very intentional about what it is that I want to offer my customer, what it is I want to offer my community, what it is I want to offer the world, possibly. Knowing what drives that, I think is really kind of what it turns the whole commercialism or like consumerism into a different mindset. So I'm not just doing this to make money. I'm doing this for a greater purpose. I'm doing this because I'm passionate about it. I'm doing this because I'm helping, you know. And I think the more that I can kind of drive that I'm helping piece, the more I'm going to be passionate about it. That's for me. And I think a lot of people want that. We all want to, like, you know, help other people. But sometimes, you know, because of just the way our economy is structured, you know, we really don't feel like we can't do enough, or like we can't be too much, you know, we can't give too much away. And I'm not saying like go crazy, but you know, within reason. And I think that you know, because that's where we are as a society. But I think that's changing, and we're starting to see purpose-driven businesses, even here locally. We're starting to see that. So kind of some core principles in business that it's kind of how we get started with like spiritual entrepreneurship. Creating tech integrity, which is sounds pretty simple, but it's not always easy to do. You know, it's not always easy to do the right thing when I can necessarily not benefit from it. But, you know, it also, doing right thing creates good karma, and it creates an opportunity. It opens the door where my mindset may be closed. It opens the door for a more greater spiritual practice. Compassion, 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 compassion. There is, like we've heard all day, like there is so much, negativity. There is so much hate, discrimination. Like, we see that every day. And we hear about it on the news, and of course the news feeds all of this. But compassion, having compassion for my customers, having compassion for my community, these things can help drive a more spiritual alignment. And when I say spiritual, I don't mean in a religious context. It's more of our own spiritual path. And I do believe most people are on their own spiritual path in some form or fashion. Gratitude. Gratitude is what changes our thought process. Gratitude can turn a very simple McDonald's meal into a feast. It's a mindset. Having that practice of gratitude on a daily basis is what keeps us grounded. It keeps me grounded. And it keeps me from realizing that, I have so much to be thankful for. I have an abundance of opportunities, an abundance of just living and waking up and breathing. So gratitude, the mindset of gratitude in business, I think, is really beneficial. That's what I have on that. So mindfulness, being intentional, setting those intentions. What do I want to achieve? Intentions are super important. That's why we normally hear people at New Year's, they're like, oh, what's my intention? Like setting those intentions and realizing that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just an intention. So we set our goals with intentions, and we kind of we set our intentions, and then we work towards our goals. And that's kind of how we get there, is like really being mindful about how we want to operate, how we want to show up in the world. So, one of the greatest joys that I have is doing pop-up events and farmers markets. And I love the experience, whether you buy something from me or not, just the interaction, people coming around and saying, checking out me like, oh, gee, okay, yeah, and having those, sometimes I've had the most meaningful conversations at pop-up events with people I would have never run into possibly before, and that fills my cup. And really setting intentions beyond profits. So when I first started my business, I was all about the money piece, really kind of trying to dive into that, thinking, I gotta sell this, I gotta do this, blah, blah, blah. And after kind of going through CoStarters, I was able to interview a friend of mine that owns a tea service business here locally. Shout out to them if you haven't tried it. They're amazing. They've got a pop-up, they have a permanent location in Redbird. But their intention was more about building community. It's not about the tea, it's not about the service, it's about creating community. And I think that was really empowering for me when I heard her share her experience. So I tried that. I tried that in my business. I don't care how many bottles of juice I sell today. I can sell one. I can sell one or two. But if my intention is to create community and really show up and be present for people and in the space, my cup is full. I really, I'm not worried about the finance. The money will come, and I've seen that. It's more about putting my intentions properly and really focusing on those intentions, and the money will come. And that's really hard in our kind of, economic mindset to really believe that, because most of the time we're more money focused than intention focused. So kind of how to make purpose. Well, I kind of covered that in what are your values? Is honesty a value? Is mindfulness a value for you? It's whatever that is, and it's really kind of just discovering, because we all have different values, and how to incorporate those. So if I'm trying to create trust in my business with a customer, how am I doing that? Am I having integrity? Am I delivering on what I can do? What I say I can do? Is it, offering them something that, maybe they may not find anywhere else? So it's really kind of like discovering like what that is for you, and how you show up for that. And really just being transparent with that. In my business, one of the things that I have learned is that the more transparent I can be, the more people love it, and the more people show up for that and support that. Part of my experience is being a person in recovery and starting a juice business and really kind of like leaning into that. I was like so hesitant to do that, but luckily I've had supporters that have really encouraged me to show up more authentically. And really owning your own business kind of forces you to show up more authentically than anywhere else I have found. So that's kind of like a huge part, as well as just bringing in the spiritual, bringing in, all of my spiritual experiences, bringing in my rituals, like in creating my juice. So my juice is Reiki infused, so I'm constantly bringing in good energy, cleansing my space, making sure I'm not letting in any negativity, really honing in on my intentions. What do I want my juices to do for my customers? And focusing on that has been really important to me. So every time I make juice, I cleanse my kitchen, I sage it, Palo Santo, all of that good jazz, get the right music. It's a whole ritual to create juice. And it's not just, just cutting up some fruit and throwing it into a blender or a juicer. It's more than that. It's really setting out these clear things on what I want my customers to feel and achieve through my juices. So, like I said, kind of the future of spiritual entrepreneurship. Well, I think more than ever right now, this is going to be important because I feel like, not to be too political, but I just feel like that, obviously we are under attack. But, I think one thing that we can do every day, as Elizabeth shared earlier, is, have joy. And for me, juice brings joy in so many different ways. So finding out where our joy is and like really kind of honing in on that. The more joy and the more passion that we can have about whatever we do, the more we're going to be successful at it. That's just kind of a natural kind of synchronicity that happens. And just kind of, like I said, incorporating mindfulness, slowing down on big decisions, I have found to be very helpful, and not rushing into things. So many times, because we're in this kind of like hustle culture, it's like we got to make all these decisions, we got to do this and do that. I'm totally the opposite mindset. I think the more mindful of it I can be, and the more intentional I can be, the better decisions I'm going to make, and that's going to increase my business, and that's going to increase, satisfaction with my clients. What else? I think I've spoken way too fast. Let's see if I have any questions. Yes?
How do you go about setting
So it can be different things. So like, when I make juice, I set my intentions. Like, what do I want my customers to receive from my juice? Well, I want them to receive the taste. They're satisfied with the taste. They feel like they're doing something good for their body. They may even through the Reiki infusion, they may even like get good energy into their body. Being transferred from my energy to their energy. So it just depends on what your intention is. I want my clients to feel appreciated. So setting that intention, like how would I want to be appreciated as a customer, and kind of just sharing that on the other end. Yes.
This is more a comment. I found this entire presentation very insightful, and as a Christian, it's made me think about a lot. What do I want my customers to get from this? How can I help them? So I appreciate this presentation.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.
Everything you brought up is really, really interesting, but to me, what is your process like when your mistakes crafting that ideology or your step-to-step process? Like, how are you kind of more gentle with yourself in those moments when, oh, it may not feel like everything's, I know things are going to work out later, but things are like kind of coming together right now?
Yes, so that is a very good question. So I have, within the last 2 years, I have discovered this word called grace. And you know, I used to think of it as something that was very like lofty and like unachievable and like, you know, not for me, right? And so, but doing some work on myself, you know, being in therapy and doing a lot of other like insight stuff, you know, I've learned to incorporate that. So I understand, you know, I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm not gonna have all this figured out. Anybody that has ever started any business is gonna make 1,001 mistakes. I mean, that's just kind of a given because, you know, there's no real roadmap as far as what each person needs to do. Every journey is individual. And so that's how we learn, you know. Not learning from our mistakes, that's the issue. But not making mistakes, because making mistakes is just how we operate as humans. So it does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of exploration, I will say that for sure. And just learning, like, you know, what comes easier, you know, and like for me, it was like, instead of starting out with just money as a primary focus, it's kind of changing that mindset and being like, well, this is not working because I'm just seeing people as dollar signs. I'm not seeing people as people, you know. And that was kind of, I used to work in retail, so like that was the goal. Like every person was $1. But I don't see that anymore. I see it as an experience, and I see people as just, you know, as humans, human to human, you know, and understanding that we all make mistakes, and that it's just a process, and it's just learning. It really is. That answers your question. What else? Okay. Thank you very much.